Okay, so one for loop inside another for loop is called what? Nested for loop. First, let me discuss about nested for loop syntax. So whatever the for loop syntax, same syntax will be applicable. Apart from that, one more loop, one more for loop is added inside this for loop. Expression 1, expression 2, expression 3. This is the actual syntax of for loop. Okay. Here inside that we are going to use some of the statements. The statements may be any statements from the C language. Here, if you consider for loop is also one of the statement in C language. If condition is also one of the statement in C language. So whatever the statement, printf, scanf, calculation, logics, whatever it may be, so those things are treated as a statement. Here also, inside this for loop, we are going to provide statements. This for loop syntax should contain some of the statements inside for loop. Same thing, instead of these statements, normal statements, or including that statement, we are going to have one more for loop inside that for loop. That is called what? Nested for loop. Same thing here, expression 1, expression 2. How the outer loop syntax is contains expressions, in the same way these inner inner for loop also contain these expressions. Again, if it is an for loop, definitely inside that there should be some of the statements. Those statements are any valid statements from the C language, right? So like this, these for loop syntax will be, one for loops. Suppose if you take from here to here, that will be treated as for loop. So this is called what? Outer for loop. Inside that some of the statements are present. Okay. So in that statement we may have again for loop also. So this is called what? Inner for loop. If any for loop contains one for loop inside another for loop, so that is called what? A nested for loop. Okay, so this is the actual syntax of nested for loop, and we are going to evaluate how this execution process will be related to this nested for loop. Okay, same way expression 1 is here what? Here we are going to initialize or assigning the values, initial value. Same thing inside inner for loop also one expression 1 is there. Here expression 1 is initializing or assigning value. Okay, here we are using two for loops. If you are using any number of for loops, that many number of looping variables must be required for program. Okay, if you are using two for loops, that's okay. Two looping variables should require. Whether you are taking same looping variable or you are taking different looping variable, but you should take one loop variable for one loop, whether it is an inner loop or outer loop. Okay, and expression 2. If you take expression 2 in general in for loop, so that will be a condition. Okay, there you should provide a limit or some condition. Okay, so in a normal manner, here also in inner for loop, if you are using nested for loop also, expression 2 meaning will be same. Expression 3 value updation, whether incrementing or decrementing or any number of updations. Okay. Same thing will be considered here. Okay, statements or any number of statements or any valid statements from the C language. How you are going to take these statements for outer loop? Like that only we are going to take the statement for inner loop as well. Okay, again if you want you can provide one more for loop also here, that is also treated as a nested for loop only, but don't go with multiple levels of for loops. If there should be any requirement, then you should go for nested for loop. Nested statements. Okay, right. Now we'll see one sample example. How these things are going to be evaluated. Okay, for loop example. Fine. Wait a second. Right. As I said, if I want to use one loop, one for loop, I should require one looping variable. Now I am using two loops. That means I am going to take two looping variables like I and j. Okay, so those are of integer type. Just for evaluation purpose, I am taking this example. Okay, int I comma j. These are two looping variables. These things are written inside a main function. Here I am going to write one program just like, okay, some clear screen statement. Here what I should do, simply I am going to use one for loop. Inside that I am taking one looping variable that will starts from 1, and again I am going to take some conditional statement, that is I less than or equal to some 3 or 4 or 5, so whatever it may be up to. So because this is a explanation point of so that's why I am taking very less number as a limit. Okay, now I am going to take incrementing value. Fine, this is a for loop. Inside that for loop I am going to take one more for loop, because I am going to take nested loop right here. So now here inside that inner loop I am going to take variable looping variable as j. Here also I am taking j as initial value 1 and j less than or equal to some 5, j plus plus value updation. Okay, here now what I should do, simply I am going to print whether you are going to print A or B. I mean whether you are going to print I or J, or else you can print both. So whatever it may be, just for evaluation purpose I am taking. No? Here I should print one text message, that is hi. Okay, just I am printing one text message hi. Then after I am providing one tab space. So this is my program. Here ends my program. Okay, main method close. Fine. How this execution process will be? So already we know that the for loop evaluation process. See here also how this for loop will be evaluated. Okay. After this statement, a control comes to this for loop, C control, C compiler. Okay. While program execution, if anywhere in a program, in our program, for loop occurs, then the execution process is same. So whether it is an outer loop or whether it is a inner loop, so irrespective of the execution order, execution process, evaluation process should be same. Okay. First, what it will do, it is going to evaluate the expression value. I mean expression 1 value, that is I values assigned. Okay, so 1 is assigned to I because it is initialization part. Now I less than or equal to 3. That means 1 less than or equal to 3. If this condition returns true, if this condition, here I am writing output. Just I am writing output here. If this condition returns true, so that means if I less than or equal to 3, then what it should do? As a for loop, it should evaluate. If this condition returns true, it should evaluate whatever the statement inside the for loop that will be evaluated. That means again as a statement we have one more for loop. There also we have one looping variable and it should be evaluated as usual like normal for loop. Now here the looping variable will be j. So j value will be initialized to 1. Now j value is 1 and then j value is checked a condition, that is, so whatever the j contains a value, that value will be tested with the expression 2 condition, whatever the expression 2 condition is present, that is 1 is less than or equal to 5 here we have provided. Okay. So now value updation not yet updated. If this will treated as a loop, then immediately what it should do, if this condition returns true, immediately the block of statements which are present inside for loop will be evaluated. Here we have provided only one statement, that is one printf statement. In that printf statement we just had one hi statement, that is a text message, that is hi. Okay, so after evaluating this, see here, first order will be outer loop. If outer loop condition returns true, then immediately it comes to inner loop. Even if inner loop condition returns true, then only it should enters into a block of statements which are present inside the inner loops. Okay, so now these inner loop will be treated as a some statements, C statements for this for loop, outer for loop. Okay, here this printf statement will be treated as a statement for this inner for loop, right? Now what it should do, if it returns true, immediately it's going to evaluate this block of statements. Now it should print a text message that is hi, and then one tab space is provided. After that, what it should do, if these set of statements are completed, then immediately it is going to update the value. That means expression 3 in for loop will be evaluated. That is inner for loop. Okay, so now what happened, j value will be updated to 2 because already j value is 1. Now it should increment by 1 if control enters into inner loop until unless inner loop will complete. I mean until unless the completion of inner loop, whatever the for loop is present, if this inner loop is completed, then only it's going to enters into outer loop. Because if this condition returns true, whatever the statements which are present inside that for loop will be evaluated. If these statements are evaluated, immediately it's going to increment the value. Whatever the I value is present, that value will be incremented. But what happened here? Once the control enters into this for loop, what it will do? It is also a loop, no? So until unless finishing this for loop inside for loop, it should not go back to outer loop. I mean these loop statements will be evaluated until unless this condition returns false. Okay, how many times it is going to be returns means based upon this condition. Okay, now I value is same only. The condition is never changed because 1 is less than or equal to 3. So it's not going to check each and every time for our outer loop. Just simply it's going to take inner loop statements only. Okay, so now j value is incremented, that is j value is incremented by 1, that is j value is 1. Now 2 is less than or equal to 5. So because it is an inner statement, if this statement returns true, then immediately what it should print, immediately the block of statements which are present inside for loop will be evaluated. Here we have another printf statement that is also returns hi statement only. Again it should display that hi on the output console, and then one tab space we have provided that will be treated as a escape sequence, and here it should accept one tab space. After that what it should do, j value will be incremented. Same thing, I value and j value. So if once the loop enters into j, I mean if the loop, I mean control enters into inner loop, only j value will be changed. I value will never change until unless completion of this loop. Okay, now j value is incremented to 3. Same thing, j is assigned to 3. Now 3 is less than or equal to 5. If this condition returns true, immediately it is going to print this block of statements again. Here what we have, again we have one more high statement. Same thing, j value will be incremented, that is 4. So j value will be assigned to 4, and 4 is less than or equal to 5. Even now also it's going to print high, and then finally it's going to increment j value to 5, and 5 less than or equal to 5. Even now also it's going to return true, 5 is less than or equal to 5. That means this condition returns true. Now again it's going to print this statement hi. How many times it's printed? 5 times it printed because we have provided condition as a 5. From 1 to 5 it's going to iterate this loop, inner loop. This is only a statement to outer loop. This statement finished now. If you increment this value again, j is equal to 6, then what it will happen? The condition returns false. So if this condition returns false, it's not going to evaluate this block of statement. If these block of statements are not going to evaluate, it means this for loop statement is evaluated successfully, and it will check for is there any other statements are present or not. Okay, inside that loop. If there are no any other statements, what happened? These statements are treated as statements for outer for loop. If these statements are evaluated, immediately what it will do? I value will be incremented in the next case. So what happened? Already I value is assigned to 1. The second iteration of outer for loop, I value is going to be assigned to 2. Okay. Now 2 is less than or equal to some 3. Okay. So if this condition returns true, I mean whatever the outer for loop is there, so there it should check for this condition. If this condition returns true, immediately what happened? Again it's going to evaluate this block of statements. So inside that statement, what it contains, it should have one more for loop. So again for loop, same old process only. So it will start from starting onwards. It will start from starting onwards. In the second iteration, it should start from starting onwards. That means again J value is started by assigning a value as 1 and then J less than or equal to some 5. So like that. It is a second iteration of outer for loop. So each and every time whenever the iteration will start, I mean, so outer for loop, if outer for loop is incrementing by 1, so that means outer for loop is second time iterating, the black or statements will be executed from the starting. I mean, so this will be treated. So J value again is going to assign 1 and J value is checking this condition, and if this condition returns true, it's going to print. How many times it is going to print? Each and every time it's going to print for 5 times. Again it's going to print 5 high statements. After that what happened? After all completion of these 5 statements, what it will do? Again it's going to check if 6 is less than or equal to 5 returns false, then immediately it should go for I value incrementation part, updation. So now I value will be, in the third case, I value will be incremented to 3. If I value is 3, 3 less than or equal to 3, the condition returns true. If this condition returns true, again the inner for loop will start from starting onwards. That means again J value will be assigned to 0, I mean assigned to 1 as it is initial value, and then 1 less than or equal to 5 and black of statements will be printed if this condition returns true. Like that it's going to print again 5 more times. Then after it's going to increment this I value. Now the I value is 4, I mean I equal to 4. Then what happened? This condition returns false. If this condition returns false, what it will do? This block of statements will never going to be executed. Simply the control will come out from this for loop. I mean this block of statements will be finished, and then whatever the next statement is present in our program, that statement will be evaluated. That is our logic here. Okay, so this is simply, and remember one thing here carefully, how many number of times the outer for loop is iterating. I mean if outer for loop iterating 5 times means whatever the value, whatever the limit we have provided, whatever the condition we have provided with respect to that outer loop condition, the inner loop will be evaluated that many number of times. I mean if the inner for loop has 1 to 5 repetitions, for each and every iteration of outer for loop, the inner for loop will be evaluated 5 times, because for each and every iteration inner for loop will be treated freshly. That is inner for loop will be started from the starting onwards. For each and every print 1 to 20 multiplication tables. I mean it should print 1 table, it should print 2 table, it should print 3 table, like that it should go on, and it should print 20th table also. Table means 2 1 2, 2 2 4, like that it's going to print up to 2 10 20, like that it's going to print each and every table. Okay, for that I am going to write program by using nested for loop here, because 1 to 20, to take 1 to 20 numbers, these are continuous incrementing order values only. I mean I should take repetitive task. I mean 1 to 20 And again, for each and every table, we should take 1 to 10. I mean, if you take 1, 1 into 1, 1 into 2, 1 into 3, like that. So mid value will be 1 to 10. I mean, so 1 into 10, like that we are going to take. To take these values, I mean 1 to 20 values, we are going to take one for loop. And to take multiply, I mean the values from 1 to 10, we are going to take one more loop, that is inner loop. Okay. See here, if first time it is going to take 1 means 1 into 1 is equal to 1, it should print. 1 into 2 is equal to 2. Then 1 into 3 is equal to 3. So like that. See here, to take these values up to 1 into 10 is equal to 10. Okay. So to take these values, whatever the values in the middle of table, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that 10. To take these values, we are going to take one variable called one loop variable, and from 1 to 10, first it should take 1. After that, it should take 2. After completion of first table, it should take 2 table. Okay. After that, it should take 3 table. After that, it should take 4 table. Like that, if you take these values in another loop, that is a variable, I am going to take I. For taking 1 to 20 numbers, I am going to take one loop variable, and to take 1 to 10 numbers, I am going to take one more loop variable. Here I am going to take 2 looping variables, means I should require 2 loops. I mean here I am using 2 loops, that is here I am one loop inside another for loop I am going to use, that is nested statement I am using. For that I am going to use 2 looping variables. If you are using 2 loops, means definitely we should require 2 looping variables. Okay. See how I am going to implement that logic. Okay. Same process only, nothing difficulty here. So whatever the logic we have written already for multiplication table, that logic we are going to implement first. After that, that will be modified. Kunyu.h and wide main here. See, just for the namesake to print the multiplication table, what we did in the previous case, just we are taking one variable and one number. So otherwise, ignore that number. Yes. What we did in the previous case, here we'll take I value as 1 and I less than or equal to 10, because we need to take that up to 10 and I value will be incremented. So then we simply evaluated the logic. Printf here percentage %d. If you take 5 as a number, 5 into 1, 2, 3, like that you need to take now. 5 into I value is integer type, 5 into 1 is equal to some percentage %d, because all are integer types only. Now what we did, first percentage %d is belongs to one number. Okay, one number. So if you are going to take any number from the keyboard, then you should take that number from the keyboard. Here what we should do, printf enter a number, enter n value. Okay, so then you need to take that value from the keyboard, percentage %d comma ampersand n. Okay, now you have that limit also. So what you will do now, first value will be n value, second value will be I value, and the third value will be the multiplication of both n into I. Like this we have implemented for single table. Okay, get ch to evaluate, to print or multiplication table. Okay, see, multiplication tables.c. Now I am compiling and executing it. If you take 4, it should print 4 table. That is simply it's going to print side by side. Now what I have to do here, I am going to provide one new line character. That is one escape sequence new line character. Now just if I provide a value as 5, it should print like this. Okay, but now my requirement is it's not going to print only these values. I mean, if I am providing 5 means it's going to print 5 only, 5 table only. So like if I am going to provide 4 means it's going to print only 4 table only. Now what I should do, I have to print 1 to 20 multiplication like this. Okay, so inside logic the logic will be same. So what I am going to do here, I am taking one more loop outside of that. It should take 1 to 20 numbers. For here, if I am using one more loop means definitely I have to use one more looping variable. No need of this additional variable n, because I am not going to take any value from the keyboard. For here I am going to take j is equal to 1 and j less than or equal to some 20. If you want a 20, or else that one also you can provide manually. I mean, you can provide programmatically here. Whatever the number, if you want, I mean, if you want 1 to 10, it should print 1 to 10. If you want 1 to 20, you just enter 20, then it should print 1 to 20 tables like that. Okay, for that also same process only. Just you need to take one value from the keyboard. Enter n value or limit you can take. Scanf %d, %n. Then you can directly provide this value like n. Okay, j plus plus. Okay, if you enter 20 means it should print 1 to 20 multiplication table. If you enter any 5 means it should print 1 to 5 tables like that. This is inner for loop. Okay, this is outer for loop. See, after calculating this, here the same value will be, but except one difference. For each and every time it's going to take j values. Instead of n we are providing here j, because n value is up to here only it required. After this n value is never taken into a loop consideration. Okay, now j, I mean 1, if it 1 into 1 is equal to here j into I. Okay, 1 into 1 value will be printed. The second time 1 into 2, third time 1 into 3. So the evaluation process I am going to explain, but see what happened as of now. Okay, so this is my logic, that's all. So this is for a table logic, and this for loop for 1 to 20 tables. Okay, 1 to 20 or 1 to 15, 1 to 5 like that. Whatever the value entered by the user, that value will be treated as a limit or range. Okay, now see how this execution process will be. So we know that the first outer loop will be evaluated. That means j value will be initialized to 1 here. After that, okay, right. Now j is less than or equal to 1. I mean 1 is less than or equal to, if you take n value, if you enter n value as 5, simply we take 5. So 1 is less than or equal to 5, and if it returns true, immediately the block of statements which are present inside that for loop will be evaluated. Again same story here. What is that for loop contain? The for loop for loop contains the statement, again one more for loop. That for loop is also evaluated as usually. That means here again I value is going to be assigned to 1. We have just now seen that logic of evaluation. I mean how the logic is evaluated in nested for loop. Okay, now I value is less than or equal to 1 is less than or equal to 10. So simply if it returns true, if this condition inner loop condition returns true, it's going to evaluate this block of statements. Here what it should contain, see the output will be printed here. How it's going to printed? First percentage d belongs to j. I mean, what is the value of j here? 1, and star is printed as it is. Second percentage d value will be I. Again, I value is 1 is equal to third percentage d value will be j into I. That means 1 into 1. What is the result? 1 will be printed. Again, here we have one new line character. The control will comes to new line. I mean to here. Then there are no more any statements present inside inner for loop. Simply what it should do after completion of this statement is going to increment this value. I mean I value will be incremented. That means here it should increment it to 2 and condition will be evaluated 2 less than or equal to 10. Okay. Now inner loop value only updated. Only inner loop value will be updated. There are no changes for outer loop because until unless completion of this, I mean until unless this inner loop returns false, it should not go out from the inner loop. I mean, so outer loop will be evaluated once if this inner loop condition will returns false. I mean, first it should evaluate all these inner loop statements. If and only if it's going to evaluate the outer loop statements, whatever the statements present in outer loop. Now see here, I value will be incremented, condition returns true, 2 less than or equal to 10. The same thing here, j values never change up to it returns false. I mean up to this condition returns false. So in the second statement what it should do, j value will be 1 only, I value will be incremented to 2 and the result will be 2. Okay. So in the third case what happened, j value is constant only, that is 10 times it is going to repeat. I value is constant only, sorry, j value is incremented, I value is, yeah, here we have taken inner loop as I know. Okay. J value is constant, I value is incremented to 3. So now the result is 1 into 3, 3. So like that it's going to print how many times? J value is constant for 10 times, only I value is incrementing, then it's going to print the result. Like this it's going to evaluate. Once after completion of this, I mean, so after 10, what it should do, it will increment to 11. I mean I value will be incremented to 11. So now the 11 is less than or equal to 10. The condition returns false. If this condition returns false, again it's going to increment the outer loop variable. That is, this value will be incremented. J value will be incremented to 2 now. Okay. Now in this case 2 is less than or equal to 5. It returns true. If it returns true, then again it's going to evaluate this for loop inside the for loop. I mean same old process. So instead of this what it should do, so j value will be constant until unless the inner loop terminates. I mean inner loop condition will get false. Okay. I mean in the next case j value will be 2, I value will be incremented up to 10 times. Now the result is changed to 2 1 are 2, 2 2 are 4, and then 2 3 are 6, 2 4 are 8, and 2 10 are 20. After completion of that, it's going to repeat third time and it's going to print it. After that, fourth time it's going to print. Like that, it's always going to print up to this condition returns false. Until unless if this condition returns false, it's not going to terminate this entire loop. Even though the inner loop is also iterating the number of times the outer loop iteration will be. Okay. So if j is iterating each and every time, I mean outer loop is iterating each and every time, so that many number of times this for loop will be evaluated. If this for loop is evaluating means again it should have some limits. So until unless this condition returns false, it's going to return this block of statements or evaluate this block of statements. Okay. So like this it's going to print whatever the number you enter from the keyboard up to the table, it's going to print from the 1 onwards. I mean if you take 20 instead of 5, it should print 1 to 20 tables in one by one manner. Okay, that's what our current logic. Just let me execute this logic first, whether it's going to execute successfully or not. Okay, I'm saving this, compiling it, no errors, executing it. Enter n value. If you take 5 only, just it's going to print C. And one more thing, what happened here? All tables are displayed in one line only. But my requirement is I need to print first 2 table here. I mean 2 into 1 is equal to 2. Okay. Then after 3 table here, 3 into 1 equal to 3. Then after 4 table here, 4 into 1 equal to 4. After that I need to print or else if I start with 1 table also, 1 into 1 is equal to 1. Like that I need the result. In the first line, I mean I need to get the result 4 tables at a time, side by side. Okay. So after this table 4 tables, what I should get? After completion of 1 into 10, 2 into 10, 3 into 10, now I should take 5 into 1 is equal to 5, and then 6, and then 7, and then 8. After that, after completion of that, 9, 10, 11, like that I need to get 4 tables in one line. I mean 4 tables in one row and remaining 4 tables in another row. So like that I need to get the result. What I should do? How do I get that result? In that manner. Okay. See, line by line, I mean 2 1 ja 2. First I need to print 2 1 ja 2. Then after 3 1 ja 3. Then after 4 1 ja 4. Like that I need to print. Okay. Simple changes are required here. Okay. Simple changes. This is for what? First table, whatever the value you are going to take, that value is here. I mean if you take 1 means 1 into 1 1, and again I need 2 table, right? For 2 table, what I should take? Again the number is taken dynamically. Okay. Here 2 percentage D into percentage D, 2 1 ja percentage D. Like that I need to take, right? 2 table. And now I need third tables. That is percentage D star percentage D is equal to percentage D. This is third table. Now I need fourth table also, right? Percentage D star percentage D is equal to percentage D. Fourth table also ready. See, these are just values only. For what variables we are going to print these values inside printf statements. That is the important thing. Now see, first will be related to 1 table. Second will be related to 2 table. Third will be related to 3 table. Fourth will be 4th table, like that. Now, what J contains? J contains 1. Until unless completion of this for loop, J value will not be changed. Okay. So for that reason, what I am going to do here, first value will be same only. I mean J value is here 1. First value J is equal to 1. Okay. So J less than 1 less than or equal to 5. Same thing only I am going to take. If I am taking 5 as a value, or else I am taking 20 as a value. Now 1 into I value, again I value same here. I is equal to 1. Again I less than 1 less than or equal to 10. Okay. See here, first percentage D is belongs to J. That means it should print here. See here, J. That is 1. Star is printed as it is. And what is the I value here? First initial value 1 only, right? Now 1 is equal to is printed as it is. What is the value of this thing? Percentage D? J into I. That means I into I. I mean J into I means 1 into 1. There it should print 1. After that we have provided space. Okay, an empty space or tab space you can provide. Okay, then what we should get as a result? Here I need to get 2 into 1 is equal to 2. Okay, for that what I should do? Here if you take J means J value is only 1 only. I value is repeating. How many number of times you are going to take? I mean I value is 1 only. Still these statements are not finished yet. I mean black ops statements are not finished yet. Okay, after finishing the statements only I value will be incremented, right? So for that what I should do here? Here in this same statement only I am going to print 2 into 1. I mean 2 star 1 is equal to some 2 result I need to get. For that what I am going to do means simply if I take J means 1 will be treated. If I take J plus 1 means what will be the value? It's obviously 2, no? I mean this percentage D value will be J plus 1. That is J value already contains 1 and 1 plus 1 is 2. Right? Like that. Okay, and next percentage D value will be same I only because we never going to increment this I value until unless finishing this printf statement. Now I value is same only, no? That is I value is printed as it is because for first one, second one, third one, fourth one I value will be constant. Now here the result is changed like J plus 1 J plus 1 star I. The result will be like this. I mean this entire term will be treated as a single term. Okay, J plus 1 into I. Now after that second statement is second table is printed here. Now again I am providing one tab space or like if you want to you can provide 2 spaces also. Here I need to print 3 as a value. Okay, to get that value as 3, J value contains a value I. Now I should get J plus 2. Then I value is constant. Then after I am taking J plus 2 because 3 table I need to get, no, into I value I need to get. Now 3 into 1 is equal to 3 value will be printed. Now fourth table I should get here. Okay, for that what I should do? J plus 3 comma I value is same. Now J plus 3 into I. Okay, that means J plus 3 is 4. That is this percentage D value will be 4 and I value is 1 only into 1 and the result will be 4 into 1. So that is 4 value will be printed here. Like that it should print. Okay, this is my, if you want you can provide a fifth table also, but as of now I need just 4 tables only. So like this I am going to evaluate. So now what happened after completion of this, what it will do? Simply J value will be remain same, I value will be incremented because these black off statements are completed. Then immediately the expression 3 will be evaluated. That is I value will be incremented. Already I value is 1. Now I value will be 2. Okay, incremented to 2. That means 2 less than or equal to 10. In the first line of printf statement, what it printed? 3 into 1 equal to 3 and 4 into 1 equal to 4. Like that it's going to print. Okay. In the second time, after incrementing the I value, it is going to evaluate these black off statements again. At the time, I value only changed. J value is never changed because still it is an inner for loop only. That's why it's going to increment I value only but not J value. So now I value will be 2. Same thing here, J value will be same. What is the J value here? 1 only. So here we have provided new line character, no? So 1 is printed as it is. Now I value will be incremented, no? So the second printf, second percentage d value will be I. Here I value is incremented to 2 and that 2 value will be treated here. Okay, 2 is equal to, see here, j into I. J value will be 1 only, I value will be 2. J into I means 1 into 2 is equal to 2 printed. Here this percentage d value will be j plus 1 because j value will be incremented. As we have seen in the previous case, j value will be 2 and j plus 1 value. I value will be 2, no? So here 2 into 2 is equal to j plus 1. That means 2 into I value 2. 2 into 2. The result will be printed here. Okay. So what is the result here? 2 into 2 is equal to 4. Like that it's going to print it. Next, same, 3 into, only I value will be changed here. 3 into 2 is equal to 3 to the 6. Then after 4 value, 4 into 2 is equal to 8. Like that it should print. After that again one new line character, control will comes to new line. So in this case j value is same and what happened? I value will be incremented. Like that, how many times it's going to print means up to until unless this condition returns false. 1 into 10, 2 into 10, 1 into 10 and then 2 into 10 and then 3 into 10 and then 4 into 10. Okay. After that what happened? Okay. After that what happened? J value will be incremented. If these black up statements are completed means immediately it should go for outer loop incrementing operator. A value updation. Here already J value is 1. Now it's going to increment 2. If you provide like that only, it is going to increment 2. In that case what happened? Simply it's going to treat 2 into 1 and 3 into 1. Like that it's going to treat. But that's not my requirement. Already 3 table, 4 table also printed. For that again we should get 5th table here. Okay, 5th table. For second iteration of outer for loop, I need to get 5 as a second iteration value. 5 is a value for outer loop variable while it is iterating second time. For that, what I should do means I am going to take j is equal to j plus 4. That means simply it's going to take j value as 5. Means updation is not mandatory to increment by 1 or decrement by 1. It may be any changeable value. Okay. So at the time what it should mean? Again it is going to take fifth table. J value as 5. Same old process it's going to be evaluated. Okay. So I'm simply commenting these lines. See what happens. Let me save this, compile this and execute this. Enter n value. First I'll take 10. Up to 10. 1 to 10 I need to get results. See here. Actually my screen is limited to these things only. Here 5th table, 6th table, 7th table, 8th table. After that what it will evaluate? 9th table, 10th table, 11th table, 12th table. Like that. If you take directly 20, you don't want anything like dynamic value. Here also no need of this thing, n value. Simply I am going to provide 20. Then see here, up to 20th multiplication table it should print it. Okay, 18, 90, 20. If you want in a meaningful order, in meaningful manner, if you want, you can provide the spaces a bit extra also. Here I am providing tab space. No issue with that. Output statement, I mean printf in the printf statement, whatever the escape sequence you are going to provide, that is for just for ordered manner printing purpose, not more than that. See here, tab space is not accurately providing. Simply remove this, because what happened, if it is 2 digit, I mean 2 5s are 10, before that 2 3s are 6, 2 4s are 8, up to 8 it is 1 digit only. If it comes to 2 digit, 1 digit will move from left to right, right, like that. It's going to take some extra spaces. Just I'm providing normal spaces only. However you want, you can provide, whether you want one extra statement, I mean one space, or if you want 10 spaces, you can provide like that. So like this, I'll get the, see here, 14 7 98, up to there it is 2 digit number only. If it comes to 3 digit number, I mean 13 8 104, it is a 3 digit number. Left side it's moved to 1 digit right, and then right side value, whatever the 14th table is there also it should move to one character forward direction. So like that it's going to print. Okay, so if you want, you can provide 5 also. You can try with by printing 5 tables in one line. Okay, this is what the multiplication table here. Okay, so that is nested for loop statement, and some of the other logics also present.